welcome back to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. This time, Elaan of Troyius. Yeah, it's another Shakespeare thing. It's an updating the Taming of the Shrew with the lovely Francais Nguyen. I'm tipping my hand there, but you already know that. Some other things I'm going to tip you to. Nikki Tells You How to Live Your Life, her YouTube series. Check it out on the IABD Presents YouTube page. Go there. She's finished season 2, so, it's binge-worthy. Do 1, do 2. It will improve your life. She's back. She presents. It's a weekly advice series, except now you can do it all. You never guess what she does on it. She tells you how to live your life. It's as simple as that. Nikki tells you how to live your life. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll learn. Your life will improve. Also, something else. Season 2's out. It's all been written. The winners have been named. The stories are currently they were being released every Monday. Now they're all out there for you to get. Go to IABDpresents.com and get some really great tales. Extreme charity competitions, to a trip to the North Pole, to a mobster, and more. You can also hear the audio adaptation of last year's winner, A Little Star, by Samantha Smith. And guess what? Buy all the entire 2007 collection paperback or on ebook. That's all there. It's all been written. It's all been done. Presents IABDpresents.com. Also, as always, don't forget to go to support us. Patreon.com/IABD. Great way to support us. Keep all these things going. And you get all kinds of bonuses from doing that. Speaking of bonuses, here's a bonus coming out. You're going to talk to you about Elaan of Troyius on It's All Been Trekked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. We have our skeleton crew.
Yep, this is Steven.
And Jimmy-Jerome. And that is it for today.
Yep.
I don't know why people weren't lining up to do Elaan of Troyius.
It's probably one most people don't remember, but I don't know. But maybe.
I mean, having the guest star's name in the title, I think, makes it easier to remember what it's about.
It should be easy.
I certainly remembered what it was about, which is why I wasn't anxious to watch it.
Yeah, maybe my extra low expectations going in helped me like it more than I thought I was going to. I didn't love it by any means.
I mean, it had issues, but the main story was relatively cohesive.
Yeah, and I think it has all the trappings of a good fun episode, but it doesn't quite. They don't quite get it right. So there's a Kirk romance, but you got this whole manufactured tears thing. You got the Klingons. You got a wedding between two planets, warring planets, whatever. You got aliens. You got a beautiful woman, obviously, and it kind of tries to be fun at times, but then it tries to be super dramatic, which obviously they've done that in episodes. You can do that in episodes, but I almost feel like if they'd gone all the way just making this a fun comedic episode, they'd have had a better shot. And watching The Taming of the Shrew in 2018 is hard to do, regardless of how you do it, I think. But although in my memory it was much more of a Taming of the Shrew kind of thing, as opposed to, we end up falling back into the Kirk loves the Enterprise thing, and he gets past it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought My Fair Lady mainly because the accent on, was it Petrie?
Petrie, Ambassador Petrie.
Yeah, played by Jay Robinson, who doesn't even have a picture in IMDb. So
yeah, he. We'll jump ahead to that. He was on. He did a lot of guest spots, but.
He played Caligula in a couple movies.
Yeah.
The Robe and Demetrius and the Gladiators.
And he was the titular character of one of my favorite, very short-lived Saturday morning shows, Dr. Shrinker, which is part of the Super Croft show, I think, in the 70s. And that show always stuck with me for some reason, because I was always worried an evil Dr. Shrinker would shrink me down. But I was looking up today.
He must have shrunk his episode order because he only did 16.
Yeah, they only one season. Yeah, so some of them are on YouTube. I want to go back and watch just to see how much sticks, but I didn't get around to that today. But yeah, when I was looking at the pictures of him, I'm like, I think that's Dr. Shrinker, and sure enough, he was Dr. Shrinker, which to me was a much greater role than even Ambassador Petrie.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a huge role.
No.
I liked the role, I guess. I thought he was interesting. I thought they did a good job with his makeup.
Yeah, I wrote down, is teal face okay? Is it okay to do teal face?
I would think so. And the hair was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it looked like
and the wig.
Yeah, it looked like the top of a fancy coffee. Like the foamy head with some caramel streaks in there, yeah.
It was almost Andorian without the antenna.
Yeah.
And unfortunately in the 60s, the antenna looked really bad, so I thought this was a superior look.
I agree, yeah.
I mean, this was one of the better aliens they did, in my opinion.
I thought so, too.
I wished Elaan and her people were that alien instead of human-looking.
I can't wish that for Elaan just because I think she's gorgeous, but...
I mean, a blue woman could still be gorgeous.
That's true. That's a fair point. She would look great in any color. To be fair, that's a fair point. Yeah, I guess while we're there, we might as well jump into fashion.
Sure.
Fashion.
Plenty of that.
Elaan had the most costume changes, tied with Khan and Lenore Caridian from Countess of the King.
I counted 4 different outfits.
Yeah. So her first one is quite amazing. And not only is it amazing, but they do a pan up from her boots.
Oh, I saw.
All the way to her face, which...
it felt like each one got more modest as the episode went on.
Yeah, she has the one that's open-backed, which was very nice.
Sure.
The third one. But yeah, I read a thing, and I wish I could source it. It was on the Star Trek Wikia page. There's one writer who's... Their whole thing is kind of like they see the whole transformation of the relationship, kind of the old white man and the Asian woman and her wanting to be subservient once she sees his strength and power or whatever. And I think they tie that into it, that, you know, he tamed her or whatever. And so she becomes much more conservative and all that, which...
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fashion.
Yeah, but I think I loved her. I loved all her outfits. I mean, obviously from a just attractive aspect, she looked great in them, and obviously showed a lot of skin in the first two. And they were all kind of different. They didn't seem in a similar motif, other than Bill Tease did them.
I really thought, and I'm guessing I'm wrong, but I really thought when she came on the bridge for the final outfit that was her wedding dress and necklace.
I did too.
And we didn't go back and double check it.
The one he handed her was blue, or that aquamarine.
Yeah, it was definitely
teal.
That color.
Yeah.
And the rocks, that necklace you wanted to take had rocks.
Right.
So if it was a different dress and necklace, they made it way too similar to the wedding one.
Yeah, and we know they had budget problems in season 3. Also, it just makes me think that dress was kind of blue, so maybe everything on Troyius is some shade of blue, including the planet.
That
I believe.
Yeah. And both planets look kind of similar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the wedding dress thing, and if it wasn't the wedding dress, or if it wasn't the wedding dress, they made it look too similar. To be confusing. If it was the wedding dress, there was no plot reason for her to be in the wedding dress.
Well, and then she's wearing it at the end.
Right,
she on her way to her wedding, right?
That was before.
Is the idea that she wanted to marry Kirk? That's why she put it on.
But the wedding dress was a gift from her mother-in-law.
Yeah.
So if she was going to marry Kirk, I don't think they would want her in that dress.
That's fair.
But yeah, I think overall the fashion was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked the...
I liked Ambassador Petrie.
Yeah, I liked her guards had interesting...
I didn't like the guards' outfits.
They had interesting short outfits, like...
I mean, we've done that before on Star Trek. I don't like it. I just don't like the style.
They look kind of Flash Gordian to me, and I mean like Flash Gordon, the 1980 movie, which 12 years later.
Soundtrack by Queen.
Yes.
They ripped off Star Trek.
Yeah, so I liked them. I like short shorts. I prefer as we know from the Bread and Circuses episode, I think, and Crichton, was that his name? Had the legs to show off, so good for him, even though he turned out to be a Klingon spy, and a spurned lover also.
Crichton, played by Tony Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... Honestly, I would have rather he had political reasons than romantic ones.
Yeah, that was
felt kind of tired and old.
It was an extra complication add.
Same thing. Like I didn't think the tear thing was necessary.
It wasn't
would have
because
been enough for Kirk to fall in love with her and.
Well, yeah, and if you make her a more interesting woman, not that she wasn't interesting at all, but a more interesting, stronger character, I think, other than the spoiled brat, if you will. He easily defeats it. More or less.
Because of the Enterprise. Yeah, if you're going to add the tears, McCoy's cure should have been key.
Yeah.
Instead of afterthought.
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about how somehow Kirk always fights through whatever it is, he fights through it more than... Again, I love Kirk. He's my guy.
But that's the exaggerated hero junk that's...
Well, and my thought was maybe that's all a myth, and that, maybe if everyone on Elaan looks like Francais Nguyen, then I don't think it's the tears that do it. I think it's just all the women there are strikingly beautiful, and they blame it on this mysticism and the tears. But again, that's me forwarding a homogeneous thought about a planet, which they do get into about the whole planet's violent and their men are this and their women are that kind of thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of sexism in this episode.
Oh yeah.
So much. I mean, the Taming of the Shrew itself is a sexist story.
Oh, it is.
And I know it's the 60s, but... And I don't... You know what? I think when I've seen this before, I wasn't... It didn't pop on me, but in the current political climate, it really feels wrong.
It does, and it just feels, condescending and what's the other word? Not patronizing, patriarchal, Kirk showing her how to eat and all that stuff. I guess it'd be more interesting, it just gives the impression, like, again, it's a Taming of the Shrew, and she's a spoiled brat, rather than, it's the planet, and it's this intrigue, and they've got this relationship, and it's just, it would have been more interesting to see those two adversarial, but in a more adult, and obviously they got it on in an adult way, as they allude to, once again, another episode where something happens, it's alluded to, but we know they had their moments together. And
sure.
And Uhura's, of all places, in Uhura's.
I mean, I kind of felt like there had to be a deleted line where Kirk's on the bridge. He's like, "Oh, Uhura, by the way, wash those sheets."
Yeah, I wonder if Uhura knows.
I mean, my alternate episode, I guess, would just be her coming back after the episode's over, and her quarters are trashed, and like her stuff's destroyed, and I mean, like, Kirk seemed real cash that she was smashing Uhura's junk.
Yeah, he was amused.
Yeah, and so I'm like, he had to. I mean, you're giving her quarters. Yes, it was a guest, and you want it to look nice, but you have to think Uhura took her like rare and valuable things out of there. I mean,
I would think so. Yeah, because she's probably staying somewhere.
Or is
else.
Just so completely unconcerned with material possessions because it's the future.
Yeah, and we talked about this while we were watching, but Starfleet really didn't brief them well on this trip at all.
That was my biggest problem.
Because I think Uhura probably thought, it'll just take a couple hours.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. And then they're like, oh no, we have to go real slow. It's like, oh.
Which, first of all, if they're going impulse, they're going below light speed, so it would take years,
forever,
not days.
Right.
Literally years to get from one planet to another. Unless they're in the same solar system, but that wouldn't make sense for the way they played it, I don't think.
Well, they said it. Yeah, they said it was two different systems, right? Was that the idea?
Yeah, I thought so.
Systems, warring systems.
I thought so. I don't know. Yeah, I thought that was goofy. Like Petrie coming and saying, "Oh, we have to train her, and you have to go slow, and this is all important, and the whole like future of everything rests on this." And, but you didn't fill Kirk in on any of that.
Right, and why not send then? Why would I have one of those stodgy diplomats, a team of diplomats with you, rather than all of a sudden Kirk's assuming ambassadorial power?
Just even the whole thing about, okay, Kirk's supposed to answer to her, that should have been worked out ahead of time.
Right.
Or he should have been warned, like, hey, by the way, she's going to want to be in command.
Yeah, and I think that's just the thing of, well, they wanted to reveal it to us, so but there's still a way to do that.
There is a way to do that. I think that hokiness at the beginning kind of spoiled things before they even got started.
It's a way to interject Kirk into it. And I mean, why wouldn't he hand that off to somebody else, Uhura or Spock or somebody on the ship who's...
I mean, it would have been a more interesting story with one of the other characters because...
Yeah.
I mean, they never get... I mean, Uhura and Scotty had some lines this week.
They did.
Check off for set dressing.
Uhura got to come down to sickbay to have a special talk with Kirk. And I guess there was a deleted scene of Uhura and Spock in, I think, the cafeteria or whatever, where Spock was going to play some music to soothe the Dahlman. But it got deleted. But it's in the...
Uhura was going to sing?
Maybe. I know she's the one who suggests it, I think, in the deleted scene. And then it was added back in the novelization and everything. But yeah. And I saw a couple stills from it. But yeah, I think you're right. And this is, we've talked about, well, Kirk isn't involved with that many women. But I think as we get into season 3, we're seeing now almost every other week it is Kirk with a different alien woman all of a sudden.
Yeah, that was... I mean, I think it definitely is a season 3 thing. Yeah. And I'm sure that was a demand by Shatner, and now Roddenberry wasn't there to say...
Yeah, to rein it in.
It also feels bad. It's just not...
It does. I mean, if in the moment I enjoy it as a Kirk fan, that's great. He's with another beautiful woman, but you just wish there was a better story around it.
Yeah.
And again, in a way, I think I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but France knew, and I think she's a good actress, but she's not given a lot here.
France Nguyen, is that how you say it?
I think so.
It is known for Battle of the Planet of the Apes, where she played Alma, and she was Liat in South Pacific. About 10 years
in the
before.
movie,
Which was, and then she was the mother in the Joy Luck Club, but South Pacific's where I would know her from. She was definitely older here, but still very attractive.
Still with us.
She's not nothing yet.
She's not nothing, yeah.
She was born in 1939.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't say a death date, but she would have been in her late 20s then when this happened.
Yeah. And
almost 30.
And she and Shatner were in the True Life of Susie Wong? The Life of Susie Wong?
Okay.
On Broadway, I think.
She's only got 2 credits after the 90s, so she's not active
Yeah,
anymore.
she became a psychiatrist, and I guess a fairly acclaimed psychiatrist. I guess
Really?
Yeah.
That late in her career?
Yeah, like at 47, she was winning awards. 47, I think she got her degree and began winning awards.
47, that would have put her in the late 80s, and she was still very active as an actress through the 90s.
Yeah, I guess she was still doing both.
Wow.
I guess she did both.
And then at the 90s, she's just like, okay, I'm done with the acting.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like, she did a bunch of episodes of Knots Landing, like...
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
In the late 80s, she did 30 episodes of St. Elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, she was still doing stuff. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't think it was the actress's fault that the thing fell flat. I thought she played it pretty well.
You know, and it's just that weird... she's a brat. He teaches her table manners. They have sex, and now she's in love with him. And she's docile and all this stuff. And
which is just... I mean, I know it's based on Shakespeare, so I shouldn't roll my eyes, but I guess it's one of my least favorite Shakespeare ones.
Yeah, and I know...
they did not vary enough from a My Fair Lady or a Kiss Me Kate to be interesting.
It's become a challenge, I know, for companies to do that show now and find a way to not make it that way. And I think that's where you almost have to lean into it as such a broad comedy almost.
Right, and Star Trek treated it very seriously.
Yeah, they did. Kirk has a couple wry smiles and a couple jabs and stuff, and that would have been more fun if it had been more of a screwball comedy kind of thing, in my eyes. But like I said, it has the trappings of a good episode. It just doesn't come together. I wrote Interstellar Diplomacy is not easy. Clearly, I guess that's why you have diplomats go somewhere. You never have diplomats go to an easy thing, right?
Except Petrie was ready to give up after one brief session,
and then he blames Kirk for inspiring him to talk to her somewhere. He's like, "This is your fault. You forced me to talk to her." All he said was, "If you want to make this happen, you gotta go talk to her."
Well, and then
he gets stabbed.
Well, yeah, and she was like, "Well, I stabbed him because he didn't have permission to be in here." So
he got stabbed in the back. So did she go to hug him? Did he go to run? I don't.
The way it seemed to me, and I could be wrong, is that she came back to her quarters and found him there.
Oh, that's right.
So like intruder, and she's carrying the knife on her arm.
That's right. She did always have that.
Except when she was rolling the hay with Kirk, after Kirk threw it across the room.
That's right. I forgot about her throwing that. I knew she threw something at him, and I forgot it was an actual knife. Federation High Commissioner, is that like...
I mean, there's a Federation President? I don't know what the High Commissioner is.
I don't know, but they acted like he was a big deal.
I feel like that's not something that is ever mentioned again.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a time.
I mean, in this time, it seemed like he was all of their bosses coming to scold them.
Yeah.
And obviously that wasn't anything.
We don't want to screw up if he's going to be there.
I mean, if you look up High Commissioner, it just says on Memory Alpha, the Star Trek wiki, they have expansive powers under the Galactic Emergency Procedures, can exercise authority over Starfleet officers, oversees relief missions, and perform diplomatic duties. Ferris in the Galileo 7 was supposedly Galactic High Commissioner Ferris. Oh. And then they're saying Assistant Federation Commissioner Nancy Hedford would have been one position lower.
Oh, okay.
And then they mentioned this. So those are the 3 times High Commissioner was mentioned, just in the original series.
Okay, well.
But
they made it sound like a really, 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 really big deal that he was
whereas Ferris didn't seem all that big a deal.
He was just a stuffy bureaucrat.
Yeah.
Is she just a bigot? Just the way she talks about the Troyans?
To that...
Or is it just we're at war with these people, or we've been at war?
See, I wasn't thinking of it as racism or speciesism.
Yeah.
I thought of it as we've been at war
with these dogs.
The Montagues and the Capulets.
I guess that makes sense.
They could be the same people.
I guess that, yeah.
That's where I got it. But then the line at where Kirk's like, well, exposure to these different people will make you soften. No, won't. I thought that was kind of amusing.
I guess there were a few funny moments, like I said. I did find it interesting for me, and I don't know, I'm guessing the last time I saw this was 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. Or at least...
I'm guessing the last time I saw it was sooner than that.
Yeah.
Because that would have been...
Yeah, probably. I thought, when I saw it back then, I was like, man, I don't like her at all. And then, oddly enough, for some reason, this time, her bossing Kirk around, I found kind of attractive.
I've always liked that type of thing.
Me too. I do now. I didn't when I was younger, but now I'm like...
I liked it.
No, I found it very appealing. I mean, granted, it was a beautiful woman ordering me around.
Sure. It's got to be attractive.
That's a big part of my adult life is beautiful women ordering me around. But
yeah, but that just made the Christine Chapel line where she's like, "Why are men attracted to them when they're so bossy?" And I'm like, "Really, really, Christine? You're an adult and you don't understand this? I mean, it might not be your thing, but you've certainly been around men that."
Yeah, and that's the thing where a lot of this episode was that stuff was happening just for exposition, just to serve the story, rather than people actually having a conversation about stuff.
But the tears thing was mentioned in front of Kirk, wasn't it? And then he touched him.
Is he in sickbay then?
I thought he was. Maybe I'm wrong.
Is that when the High Commissioner's down there? Or not the High Commissioner, the ambassador, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't he? Yeah, because that's when Uhura comes in to talk to him and mentions, all that.
So, I don't know why he just did.
He just couldn't resist, And the waterworks are very quick on that must be the other reason those tears, they just flow so quickly.
So what happens if more than one person touches your tears? You have a harem of
she has that, yeah.
I did think the monarchy type structure reminded me of like Europe in the past millennia where, they would arrange marriages with the different royal families. I thought that seemed really out of place in the 23rd century.
Well, and
on two civilized planets that now are both starfaring species with enough technology to destroy each other.
They just have simple nuclear propulsion, though. They don't have warp speed.
They'd have to have faster than light travel. They'd have to have warp speed.
Yeah, but didn't they say...
And Prime Directive wouldn't allow them to talk to them unless they had warp speed.
That's true, but didn't they say they didn't have it? Because didn't they say, well, how about these engines you're not capable of or whatever that we have...
Maybe they meant they barely have warp 1.
Maybe that's what.
I mean, they have to be able to travel back and forth between the two.
Yeah, especially
unless they just have missiles that can achieve warp speed.
Yeah, which doesn't make much sense.
They'd have to be warp speed missiles because if they were sublight missiles and you could see them coming, it would be like that Austin Powers scene where the steamroller's coming out and it's all the way across the room.
Look out!
They can just evacuate that city before the missile gets here.
Well, and Crichton knew enough to be able to sabotage engineering. Speaking of which. We're in the 3rd season. How many times has engineering been sabotaged? How do they not have better lockdown?
There's only one guy there. And that did not look like he was getting his neck snapped. It looked like it was almost a Vulcan mind meld.
No, yeah, it was terrible.
And then, Kirk's like, so to engineering security, or security and engineering, there's no security down there. It's just...
Yeah, at this point, you should have to go through 3 doors and retina scan to get into engineering. Because if they can... Shanghai everything that way.
The other engineering thing that annoyed me was Scotty rigs up this dilithium crystal thing out of the necklace. It's very shaky, and he's like, "Dude, Kirk, this is not reliable." Kirk's like, "Great, get up to the bridge." No, you leave your message here right there on the crystals.
Yeah,
you do not send him up to the bridge.
Well, that was so they could have the shot at the end with all 7 of our favorite characters.
I don't care. Scotty should not be on the bridge.
I know.
In that situation.
I agree.
I'm not saying give him less screen time. We can drop back and see him. I'm just saying.
Well, the other thing, and this was an engineering thing, but when Kirk's down there and the Klingon's like, we have more, I won't give in to your questioning. We have more sophisticated ways to get you to answer us. He's like, well, I'm guessing I'm going to have to use a Vulcan mind meld, Spock. I don't think they should be using Vulcan mind melds as just a random code breaker kind of thing. I mean...
No.
In a dire situation, I guess this is one, but it just didn't seem like he should cavalierly be like, oh, well, we've got our ways. Spock, mind meld time.
Well, Kirk almost was like, when the guy was like, you can't torture me, and Kirk's like, I know you're trained to resist physical, so we're going to do something else.
Right.
I'm like, so you're implying you would physically torture if he wasn't trained? Because I would think Starfleet would be better than that.
Well, I guess Kirk's for waterboarding.
I mean, we've learned that enhanced interrogation doesn't work, and it's only 2018.
Well, in the 23rd century, maybe they found better techniques at work.
They got one of those Klingon mind sifters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the agonizers. Use them together, and it works.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how we get it done.
Yeah, but Federation. And then the whole Klingon thing. I mean, I get they're coming after dilithium. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
But a lot of it, like why they were doing what they were doing and how they were doing it.
And I don't understand how. This is another episode. I mean, we talked about how get to know your Vulcan, but I feel like they should know every single thing about these two planets, but they should know quite a bit.
Yeah.
They're Federation planets, right?
That they seem to imply they were.
I know they're near a border area, but still,
Yeah.
so's
we seem to be near the border a lot.
So's Maine, but we know a lot about it.
Sure.
I mean, maybe you and I don't personally know a lot about Maine, but people do.
We know enough.
There's lobsters.
Yes.
The capital's Augusta, right?
I mean, 44 of our 45 presidents probably knew what was going on in Maine. And
Yeah,
how things work.
that's right. Yeah.
Present company
Right.
accepted.
They have great seafood and
Yeah.
but yeah,
Not
so
a lot of people.
yeah, but we know enough that we wouldn't be surprised that like they were like, oh, these are common rocks. Those are dilithium crystals.
Yeah, you'd think that would have come up during their application to join the Federation.
I mean, it's quite the Deus Ex Machina that you just happen to have what we need to get away, and yeah,
It's fluctuating, except it works perfectly.
yeah. Well, as always.
This was written by John Meredith Lucas, so I guess he's the one to blame about all the...
He wrote and directed it, the only episode ever written and directed.
Directed by the same person?
Yeah, or
He
the original
wrote
series.
4 episodes. He
Yeah.
directed a bunch more. He wrote That Which Survives, which we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
But he also wrote Patterns of Force, the Nazi one.
Okay.
Which,
Yeah.
I think this was a little better. I mean, I think the Nazis were a little better than this.
Probably.
But it wasn't one of my favorite episodes. And then he also did The Changeling with Nomad.
Okay.
Which was
I like.
decent.
Yeah, I like that one.
I think I remember when we got to the episode that we liked the concept but didn't like the execution that much.
It's dry.
I think he's just not a very strong writer. Which most of his credits aren't for writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean he directed a lot, and which ones did he direct? Because I want to say, I mean I definitely recognize the name. He comes up a lot in these things. He was a producer for 10 episodes, it said, but director, The Enterprise Incident,
Oh, that's right.
and The
yeah.
Ultimate Computer.
Sure. Okay. Two
Yeah.
good episodes.
Yeah, so this was his week. This was the last one he directed.
Okay.
He actually wrote for Star Trek more than he directed.
Oh, he wrote one of the animated ones, right? I think.
Oh, did he?
I think so. I thought I read that today.
He wrote one of a web series episode of The New Voyages a couple of years ago.
Okay.
No.
right.
No credits for the animated.
Okay. I did, again, this was a bit of another opportunity for comedy if they'd gone that direction with, Kirk and the Dahlman are embracing, making out, and Spock and McCoy get the door to open because nobody locks their doors. Kirk slowly breaks the embrace and looks at him like, can we have a word with you? And then he goes back to kissing, and they're like, Captain, really, we have to have a word, or whatever. And it's like, if that was comedically done, that could have been funny. It wasn't,
I will say, as much as I did not appreciate the way the Kirk romance was handled, I did like the moment on the bridge where Spock's like, "Hey, man, she should be up here,"
Yeah.
and he starts to go off on him and then stops himself.
Yeah.
I liked that moment.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite Shatner part of this episode.
Yeah, he had a couple of his Shatnery moments. He had a couple, like I said, there were a couple of those moments where he's kind of the fun Kirk, and I enjoyed those. Yeah, and again, this is, what I've been saying about the third season for a while is, you do have those nice moments like that here and there, and you take them when you can get them. I'm bummed, like the ending, the idea of this woman, as you said, it's kind of obviously an old notion, or should be, a woman being married off to make peace or whatever, and that kind of stuff, and arranged marriages kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I think if the love between them was more earned, that interest, rather than this tears thing and this Taming of the Shrew thing, I think that moment could have been really poignant, but instead it's not. I mean, if these are two strong people who come together on a starship and decide, whatever, we're fighting over whatever, we're battle of wills or whatever, and it turns out, we also happen to be attracted to each other. Now you got something, and he's married to the ship, and she's got to be married to this, and that could be a very poignant, heartbreaking thing. Instead, it's okay. But that's to get back to that. I think that's one of those. Could have been a really great moment in a better episode, and it's just I feel bad for the Dahlman. She looks again beautiful, and she has literally stars in her eyes.
At the very end, I noticed that too.
Yeah, so it's.
I noticed that too. I almost said something.
And her eyes are just looked like she could. Obviously, she did cry at the drop of a hat in the episode, but that moment it was like I said, I thought it was well done, but again, it's another one of those we talk about that wasn't quite earned, and I wish it could have earned and really packed a wallop. So that's another one of those third season misfires.
Although, I mean, I have to admit that there's some episodes in season 1 and 2 that do similar misfires.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not a uniquely season 3.
I agree. That's true. I agree. And maybe this happened before and I just didn't pay attention, but I guess red alerts can be done just like a fire alarm.
Oh, yeah?
More or less. Just anyone can hit that and start a red alert. So I guess I just never paid that close of attention before this episode when Kirk hits it. So, which I guess makes sense. Anybody should be able to if they see trouble. See something, say something. Hit a red button and alert everybody. So
no, that makes sense.
That makes sense. I would imagine, Sam's not here, but I imagine that's the way it is on military ships, I would think. That's all. Oh, my alternate episode was just that Kirk and then the Dahlman get married.
Oh.
And so there you go.
That's nice.
And that would also be with no tears. Kirk just decides, you know what? I have had enough. I want to resign my commission. I'm not married to this ship. And they go.
I think it's a more interesting story if they got married and she stayed on the ship. And then he's like, "You're a bad news." She's decided she needs her own.
You know what? I think you swayed me. I think that is better. Other than, I wouldn't hate to see her go, but maybe, yeah.
I'm not saying get rid of you.
Just
you can't have your quarters back.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No.
All right.
God, no.
Okay.
And then she shows up on Christine Chapel's doorstep. Hey, you got a couch?
Her and Chapel's roommates. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we got a show.
Then we have a whole alternate stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say the fact that they were using her as quarters kind of sucks too, because we've seen ambassadors and such on the ship before.
Yeah.
And why don't they have a nice guest quarters they can put
That's
in?
a good question.
And I feel like the guest quarters would probably be as good as the communication officer's quarters.
Yeah.
Or if you really want to impress them, you could say Kirk's, but Kirk's don't look any better than her as a
Was the idea was that she's a woman, they're both women, so she would like it better?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some conversation about a lot.
And then she could have that reaction.
I don't like the womany stuff.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. One other thing.
That's a girl room. This is a boy room. There's no urinal in the bathroom.
Speaking of girls' rooms and boys' room, when Elaan goes into the bathroom after she and Kirk are fighting, and comes out crying, she goes out of the room. It's theorized that that's an actual bathroom. That's the only time we see a bathroom on the Enterprise in the original series. So even though we don't see a toilet or anything, we figured that's the other room. I think a couple other times people go into that room, but or seem to go into another room in their quarters, but it doesn't seem like it's the bathroom. It's just an off room without a door. So that's one theory I read, was that was the bathroom. So she went off to the bathroom to hide from Kirk.
So we're ready to get to rankings.
Yeah, that's all the notes I got.
Up. I did not have the spreadsheet open because I was not on top of things. Okay, men, women. Does Elaan do it for you?
Yes. Yes, she's my new one.
Knocks Falana off.
Yeah.
I still have Deela from Wink of an Eye.
Yeah.
I find that difficult.
Season 3 is from that standpoint, it is very
the fact that Kirk's
well
sticking up with all the women gives us some,
it does.
And they do have relatively strong women. They're not pushovers.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stick with Deela, but it's close.
Yeah.
Because, I don't want to be controlled by the tears, and I didn't like her wig. Episode ranking. Let's compare it to the other Klingon episode. Even though it wasn't Klingon. David Duff, above or below?
Probably below, I think.
I think so too.
I just wish... Yeah, there are parts of this episode I like more, but as a whole, I probably don't.
Agreed. The empath.
Probably below.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think we're getting closer, though.
Yeah.
I think it's getting a little harder. Tholian Web.
I think I would watch this episode again before I'd watch the Tholian Web.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's where I would put it as well.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think this episode's well crafted, but the kitchen sink and everything else they throw at it, some of those things stick for me, even though if cohesively it doesn't stick for me.
I agree. And most of these other episodes below this also have problems.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're comparing it to... Yeah. Next week, we will be discussing Whom Gods Destroy, when Kirk and Spock are taken prisoners by a former starship captain named Garth, who now resides at and has taken over a high-security asylum for the criminally insane. So this is their Arkham Asylum episode.
Yeah.
And it's yet another starship captain that's not gone. that's not gone well.
Another Starship Captain, another Asylum. Yeah, I don't have fond memories of this one.
Can you believe we're more than halfway? The Empath was the halfway point.
Wow.
So we're in the second half of the season now. And
The animated series is just
around the
ahead
corner.
of us, yeah.
Whom Gods Destroy, and then the week after that will be our live episode from the West Grandview Fringe Festival.
Oh, that's
That'll
right.
be your last Battlefield.
That's right.
So that's something to look forward to. The second live episode we've done.
Yeah, we are talking through these.
We are.
Oof.
I mean, it's been a while since we started.
This
but
is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, enjoy your week. You know.
And be careful whose tears you
wipe away.
Yeah.
If you wipe them, it's like if you break them, you bottom. If you wipe
It is,
you know,
yeah.
you own it. Which, God, that line about her being property bothered me a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. But until then, live long and prosper.
Yes.
It's All Been Done presents.
Who's got the time?